Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
Today we're covering the original Swan Princess movie with our returning guest, Mega TriStar.
So, we're so happy to have you here again.
Yeah. I'm glad to be here too.
Now, TriStar had requested for us to cover the very first Swan Princess film, and she was kind enough to actually send us the DVD with the first 3 films of the franchise.
Right.
So thank you so much again. But before we start,
be sure to like, subscribe, click notification buttons on future podcasts, all the pause videos, and many more types of videos.
Yes, and we're so grateful that you introduced us to this franchise because I personally didn't know anything about it at all.
Right.
And I think you had heard of it?
Right. I heard of it many, many times. People have done spoofs of it, done reviews, and it's more famous now for having so many sequels like The Land Before Time. There's been so many that it's nothing to do with the original movie anymore. We got one new with Christmas, with spies, secret agents, time travel. Then the last one, oh, we're going back to the roots after what, the 15th movie?
But it's great to watch what it was originally based on. So now when we see all the others, we'll know what it originally was about.
Right.
So for those of you who weren't familiar like us, The Swan Princess was created by Richard Rich and Brian Nissen, owned by Crest Animation Productions, Nest Family Entertainment, Streetlight Animation, and Sony Pictures. The first movie was released in 1994, and the last movie was released as a Netflix original in 2023 called The Swan Princess Far Longer Than Forever. That's probably what people were thinking about the franchise.
Right.
And you know, that's good for people that are fans of it like they are of Sailor Moon and other franchises that have been going on a very long time.
Right, right.
So tell us how you first learned about this movie.
Speaking of the sequels, the first one started in the first sequel was released in 1997.
Oh,
That's correct.
Okay.
She's right. Wow.
So how did you first learn about the Swan Princess, and when did you first see it?
I honestly don't remember.
Oh, wow. So you're a longtime fan.
Yeah.
I think it was many years ago. It used to be on. And I think the third movie used to be on Netflix.
Oh.
That's right. I think that's how everybody was seeing so many of these films. They were just popping up on there. Now I guess they said, well, let's finish it off and have Netflix exclusively do the final movie.
Right.
So now it makes sense.
So did you fall in love with Princess Odette and Prince Derek when you first watched it? Yeah.
In fact, I've also been wanting to see to get my hands on and see the second and third movies for several years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing those, but this one, we were really, really very pleased that it ended up being a really nice movie.
Yeah.
And you like the characters. I would say my favorite part right now is the scene where you're seeing them grow up and the songs being sung. And you're seeing how...
This is my idea?
Yes.
Yes. And you see them as little babies and then growing up and how they look different and different personalities.
Only Odette is seen as an actual baby in the prologue. The song starts with them as little kids and then grow into preteens and teens and then finally adults.
Yes. It's so funny because she's beautiful and he's like, oh yes, I'll marry her now. She's like, what other reason do you like me besides how I look? And he couldn't answer. She walks away.
And he kind of screws up the tension by asking what else is there?
It's like, well, we don't know much about you either. We know you're pretty, and that's it. It's like, can you play him a little bit?
And that's what hooked us on this movie. The minute that happened, we were like, okay.
Before the movie just ended there, like, forget everything else. She said no. The end.
Because it was so different from episodes you've seen
Right.
where the woman reacts like that. She doesn't go, "Oh yes, my prince, I love you, I'll marry." She's like, "No." What else do you like about me besides that? And he's like, duh.
You're like, oh, do you want to run her away? Every time you open his mouth, like, please stop talking. Even his...
I think there's a line of something along the lines of, you I can't remember what it was.
Right?
That's okay.
Right, it's okay.
But that's one of the greatest parts in this movie, and that's what made me want to keep watching. 'Cause I
Right.
wanted to see how is this going to turn out.
And
then what's so funny is in the end, he still ends up marrying because she's beautiful.
Anyway.
However, he proves that he actually loves her too.
And sees there is more. But yeah, that is hilarious. And when you think about it, this is a Sony movie, and they made several of these. And I remember there was a time where other companies were trying to emulate Disney-style movies where they were doing fairy tale movies and romantic movies, or at least spoofs of those. And this actually ended up being a little bit of like Shrek to me in a way, where it's its own fairy tale. It kind of makes you think of a Disney movie.
The comment about being like Shrek.
Yeah.
You did mention that to me when you told me you were finished.
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly. And it's
so how do you think it reminds you of Shrek?
yes, exactly.
She said how?
It was actually, as you said, the way the story starts off, it gives you the classic Disney opening with the song and everything, and then it's like how they have Shrek and Fiona, where the prince is the ogre, and she doesn't even want him because as soon as she sees him, like, no, and she's not the damsel in distress. She can defend herself in a way that was never done before, and they made spoofs and parodies of Disney, and they still told their own fairy tale. And Swan Princess kind of does the same thing where it tells its own fairy tale, but not in the Disney way, but they kind of take a twist on Disney. And the last thing would be towards the end when they're having the ball, and they do a little shout to Little Mermaid where it's someone in disguise trying to marry. Right. And then when they had the ball, it made me think of Shrek 2 when they had the far, far away thing, and it was like the Hollywood red carpet, and it was doing the exact same thing here. It was a red carpet, ball of the century, and it was cameras and stuff that shouldn't exist, and like, is this where it came from? They did the Hollywood ball thing before Shrek.
Yes, and I think you're right. They did inspire Shrek truly. So can you...
I'm probably personally gonna take that as a coincidence.
I think they saw Swan Princess. I think they saw
It's
it
so
and
close.
they took it and said, "Hey, this is great."
Yeah,
and
they amped it up with Jennifer Saunders and Joanne Rivers and everybody in it, all stars. So yeah, it's still a great thing to see. That's actually pretty cool.
And then the live action was the Cinderella version done by Disney, and I think they took that from here too.
Right,
They had the same type of event.
So many people were inspired by this of all movies, and they were doing inspiration from Disney, and then Disney got inspiration from this, so it went full circle.
Definitely. Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar with what the first movie's about, Rascal's going to read the back of the case quickly, and then we'll continue.
All right. Let's see. From the director of The Fox and the Hound comes The Swan Princess, a magical musical animated adventure based on the classic fairy tale Swan Lake that captured the hearts of audiences around the world. The winner of the Film Advisory Board of Award, yada yada, is the most heartwarming story of the beautiful Princess Odette, who is transformed into a swan by an evil sorcerer's spell. Held captive at an enchanted lake, she befriends John Bob the frog, Speed the turtle, and Puffin the bird. Despite their struggle to keep the princess safe, these good-natured creatures can do nothing about the sorcerer's spell, which can only be broken by a vow of everlasting love.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
But it really is a fun watch up until the point where the villain gets really crazy.
Yeah.
And then you're like, how's this going to turn out? Now, you know it has to have a happy ending because there are 12 movies.
Right.
But when you're watching it, you forget that there are 11 other movies.
Right.
And you're really invested in it and wondering what's going to happen because you don't know.
Right.
And that also makes it a really fun watch.
Yes.
Now, I liked learning, and I'm sure you know this, Star, but I love learning that quite a few of our favorite voice actors over the years have voiced Princess Odette and Prince Derek, including Laura Bailey and Yuri Lowenthal. I can't wait to get to those.
Right?
I was like, Yuri Lowenthal was Prince Derek.
Oh my gosh. You're like, what?
So have you seen all of the movies?
Just the first one, but again, I want to see the second and third ones at least. I'm not sure about the rest of them.
You're gonna have us watching them all now.
Right?
You started it.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
We're
and
gonna
then
just keep watching and
infinity.
we're done with them all. But it's really a creative way of presenting a story that's been told before in a different way. And I've said on other podcasts how I love when it's the same concept but a new way of presenting it, and
Right.
it seems fresh and new.
Right.
And when people say, oh, it's the same old thing, no, it's not. It's the same base story.
Right.
But it's done in a completely different way, and I think that's why it's lasted 30 years.
Yeah.
Because it's different from every other fairy tale out there.
Right. And that's actually a very good point. I mean, there has to be a reason it lasts. Even when you have very strange ideas or obscure things, there's a reason behind it having such an audience and lasting fan base. And Swan Princess definitely has a fan base to keep making these movies. Even when they stopped being about what the first one was about, they clearly had something there that kept people watching. Because even the Stranger with the Secret Agent one, they're like, well, you gotta see how they do that. You gotta see how they pull that off.
Yes, gotta watch it. Gotta watch it. Okay. So, who's your favorite character in this movie? We'll just talk about this movie in particular. Who's your favorite character in this movie, Star?
I'm not sure.
Oh, so many favorites, I guess.
I'm gonna say the sassy
the fact
princess.
that I honestly cannot not pick one.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
That
it is
means
hard
you
to
really
pick
love
one.
the movie.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna pick the sassy Odette.
Right, that's
I'm gonna
agreeable.
pick her. Yeah.
It's agreeable. Outside of the little animal friends, I think, yes, it would be Odette.
Yes, that's true. I think the animal friends are their own little group, and all of them were entertaining.
Yeah,
And different.
Right, and you can tell that was a play on the animal sidekicks. They're always with the princess in Disney movies. Well, they gave her 3, and unlike certain other movies, none of them were annoying when they talked. They were all fun little additions, and they helped the film. They know her situation, and they were useful in the movie in trying to save her or protect her.
Yes, definitely. And I wonder what inspired him. I wish we could see an interview or read what inspired him to create this franchise. Because, again, it's the same story but presented in such a different way. It's great. Now, you mentioned he worked on The Fox and the Hound, so that means at some point he worked for Disney.
Right,
And
so-
he escaped.
Yes, that makes sense.
Looks like he worked for them from 1972 to 1986. And he also worked on The King and I, Alpha and Omega, The Black Cauldron, The Scarecrow, and of course the entire Swan Princess series.
Wow. All right. You got a lot of work, really.
Yeah. And he's still active, as you know from the Netflix movie.
Mm-hmm.
So he was chosen by John Lounsbury to be an assistant director for Winnie the Pooh and Tigger based on his musical expertise. So that's interesting.
Mhm.
Now you know why there's songs in here. And that's the thing I want to mention. The songs were actually pleasant. The songs were really good.
Yeah.
And none of the songs were irritating or you were waiting for them to shut up.
Right.
You liked the songs.
Yes.
You really, really liked them.
Yes, they were really fun. They were classic. They had some humor in it. They had really captured that Disney-esque feel for the Broadway musical songs. And that is probably one of the biggest strengths of it. No wonder people keep using songs from this movie. It makes sense when they're this catchy.
Yeah, definitely. The animation, especially for the time it came out in 94, was really good. For 1994, he had gone and pulled all the stops out and did really great animation when a lot of animation didn't look that good.
Right.
I mean, honestly, in 94, for these types of movies, especially when they weren't being done by Disney and other studios that were really big at that time. So it's great that Sony actually took a chance on this franchise.
Right.
And it has paid off very well for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is how it starts. And another part that's really heartwarming is how the mom of one and the dad of the other have been trying since they were babies to get them together. It was their plan to get them together, and they never stopped.
The dad's father, King William, and the mother is Derek's mother, Eric Queenie Bruta.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
But it was so funny, they never stopped. And they never aged.
No, they look exactly the same from babies to adults. I'm like, wow, what fountain of youth you find to look ageless?
Tell us. And they look the same.
18 years and they look exactly the same.
But it really is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should invest in time watching The Swan Princess. And I'm going to think that it's probably great to start with the first one, even if you go off order chronologically and start watching others like the Netflix one and so forth.
Right.
I think it's really important, like a star let us know, to start with the first one because that's the basis of everything.
Right.
And that way you'll know whom is whom, how it started, and what the original concept was before you just dive headfirst into Netflix. I'm so glad you stopped us from doing that.
Right.
We would have been lost.
Right.
You're welcome.
You're like, what is this? Who is this? Why is this? What?
So I quickly want to give out a shout to Richard Rich because his story is really interesting. Besides the feature films we know of, he's also produced direct-to-video series such as animated stories from the New Testament and from the Bible, the Book of Mormon, hero classics, Ten Commandments, and as we mentioned, Alpha and Omega, which is a franchise of his own.
Yes. One of the strangest, he has longest-lasting franchises they've had for DVD movies, too.
And we've actually watched several of the Alpha and Omega movies.
Yeah.
How many?
3, I think.
Yeah, the first 3.
Yeah. How many are there? I'm afraid to ask.
8, I think.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's right.
We've only seen
Because
3 then.
we saw a couple reviews from ones that were close to the end. I think we kind of got scared when the 7th one was about dinosaurs that were survived the extinction and were underground.
And Film Number 8 was apparently about bears.
Yeah, the Bear Kingdom, and it was Game of Thrones with bears. Like, was this like some other show or movie you wanted to do with the Bear Kingdom plot, and you decided, nah, let's start with the Alpha and Omega. I'm sure it'll fit. Like, what?
Yeah, it was at the 3rd one we stopped.
Right, like, all right, that's it.
But we shall be continuing with the Swan Princess. The
Yes.
next movie is the Swan Princess Escape from Castle Mountain, which was released in 1997. And then after that, we have the Swan Princess 3, The Mystery of the Enchanted Treasure, for 1998.
What? It hasn't been. Or Mystery of the Enchanted Kingdom is an alternate title.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I see. Even on here, the second one has an alternate title, too.
Okay.
The Secret of the Castle. Huh, okay.
So, to round out this, you have this, I'm just going to stop saying the Swan Princess. You have Christmas released in 2012.
Christmas! You can't change it.
A Royal Family Tale in 2014.
Okay.
Princess Tomorrow, Pirate Today.
Pirates!
2014.
2016.
Royally Undercover.
There's the spy!
2017. A Royal Mystery 2018.
Mystery!
Kingdom of Music.
What?
They finally get married at a royal wedding.
What? It takes that long? 20 movies?
I think
by anime. They've been dating a heck of a long
Right?
time.
20 movies and we just got married. Like, wow. Talk about waiting.
And finally, the last two were both released last year. A Fairy Tale is Born, Pearl Under the Forever.
Yes, and then
One
right
being
before.
released in May, the latter being released in September.
Oh my God.
And then it shows before that A Fairy Tale is Born came out the same year. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
So they just finished the franchise. Literally just finished.
Last year.
Wow.
Good grief.
Well, Sony invested wisely.
Yep, they sure
And-
did.
Put it all together, what you got? 12 movies!
I think it's fantastic that he's made a career out of an idea he had. And think about it. He probably pitched it to Disney and they passed. Think about
Right,
it.
and they could have had
It's another wish.
another line of movies under their belt. They had all those Tinkerbell movies, and I said, why didn't they just do that too?
They probably passed on it. And I know right now they don't have sense enough to be sorry, but they should be because it's going on 30 years later.
Yeah.
They could have had this. They probably would have ruined it. So it's probably good he ended up with Sony and the other studios. So never mind. But thank you so much for introducing us to the Swan Princess. If you guys haven't seen it, we think right now it's only available to buy. We didn't see it on any streaming service to watch, and we really kept looking everywhere.
Yeah, we did.
So go ahead, invest in it. It's worth it. Buy it. Come back and let us know what you think. If you've already seen the Swan Princess, like Star, tell us, when did you originally seen it? How many movies have you watched? What's your favorite movie? And who are your favorite characters? We really want to know in the comments.
Yes, and if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos, favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation. And now, more Swan Princess Blue.
Yes. So thank you so much, Star, for joining us again. If you have not visited her YouTube channel or her Twix channel,
Whatever it is, yeah.
you need to visit and follow her on both.
Yes.
She makes videos on her YouTube channel, and then she shares those videos as well as awesome posts on Twix.
That's what
So
I'm calling, yeah.
visit her and follow her. You will not be disappointed,
Right.
especially if you love Sailor Moon. She's got lots.
So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Ask Entertainment.
I'm Julie. I'm Mom Entertainment.
Whoops!
22 liters.
Wrong channel.
Right?
And this is Star.
Sign.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.